is Trevor Lawrence about to pull a Manning? And he begins by pointing out all of the history between Trevor Lawrence, the young superstar quarterback at Clemson, everyone's idea of the best quarterback in this draft and one of the best quarterback prospects ever, and the longstanding relationship he has with the Manning family. Trevor Lawrence grew up, he wears number 16 because of Peyton. His favorite program, his favorite college team when he was a kid was Tennessee, which is where Peyton went. He wears 16 because that's what number Peyton wore. He went to the Manning Passing Academy, so he spent time around Peyton and Eli and Archie, with whom he apparently still texts every now and again. Again, all of this is in Rich Cimini's column, and I will point out I posted it, make it easy for you to find if you want, on my Twitter page, at ESPN Greeny on Twitter. You will find Cimini's column. And he brings up what the two Manning sons did. And I want to give everyone a quick history lesson on this in case you're not aware of it. Archie Manning, coming out of college at Ole Miss back in the late 60s, early 70s, something like that, was a great player. And I believe the second pick in the draft, a super high draft pick. And everyone thought was going to be a great NFL player. And he got drafted onto a terrible team, and they stayed terrible forever. And it basically took him from being what I think he thought he could have been, and maybe could have been, which is an all-time great player. And he is generally not remembered. He's now known for the most part as Peyton and Eli's dad. He was a great player in college and could have been, he thinks, and I think most people think, a great NFL player. And his career was kind of derailed by having been on a terrible teams for years in New Orleans, all those awful teams in New Orleans when the fans were wearing the bags on their heads and everything else. So he, through that expertise, guided both of his sons through decisions that really altered the National Football League. The first of them was Peyton, who could easily have come out of college with 1 year remaining of eligibility. That year, the New York Jets had the first pick in the draft. They were 1-15. They were just terrible. And Peyton Manning opted to go back to school. And the Jets wound up trading the pick, but that's neither here nor there. If a different program, if a different team in the NFL had that pick, I believe history would have been rewritten. I think Peyton would have come out. Instead, he went back to college. It obviously worked out just fine for him. Eli, a few years later, you will recall, the San Diego Chargers had the first pick in the draft. The Manning family didn't want him to go play in San Diego. They engineered what turned out to be a draft day trade for Phillip Rivers. Eli wound up actually getting drafted by the Chargers and then traded that day, a couple hours later, for Phillip Rivers. And thus Rivers wound up with the Chargers and Eli with the Giants, and it worked out well for him. Eli won 2 championships as a member of the Giants. So the question that Cimini brings up is, will Trevor Lawrence pull one of those two? Will he go back to school like Peyton did, which he can do? Will he exert pressure in the way Eli did to try and extricate himself from the situation with the Jets? And I will merely say, like most geniuses, I will not be fully appreciated until long after my time. Mine is that sort of rare genius that will not be fully appreciated until long after its time.
A genius, you said?
You're a genius.
He's a genius, eh?
We're not going to appreciate your brilliance until you're gone.
Because I told you on October 2nd this was going to happen. I went the day after. The Jets played a Thursday night game against Denver. They lost. They looked just terrible. They committed stupid penalties. It was evident to me in the first half of week 1 they were going to be the worst team in the NFL. But I went on, they lose that Thursday night. I come into work on Friday morning and I get told, yeah, Keyshawn and Jay Will and Zubin want you on the radio show before you do get up. I come on and I said that day, October 2nd, I said, just watch Trevor Lawrence try and engineer his way out of going to the Jets. And so now there is a column, so everyone is running around asking me, Greeny, what is your reaction to Cimini's column? My reaction is very simple. I told you 2.5 months ago it was going to happen. Nothing has ever been more obvious than this. And do I expect it to happen? Yes, I do. I told you then it would happen. So just keep an eye on that. It is awfully depressing, but it is the reality of the situation. Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.